Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
And Eddie Williams.
And today we're going to be doing another Netflix review. This time we're talking about The Dirt, which is directed by Jeff Tremaine and stars kind of a lot of younger unknowns, except unless you count the guy from one of the actors from Game of Thrones was in this.
Yeah. And this is the autobiography of the
Motley Crue. This is based on the book called The Dirt: Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Rock Band by the band themselves.
Yeah, it's about the book. Yeah.
Yeah, and this movie chronicles the life, the rise and fall of Motley Crue and what they went through, mainly with their rise to stardom from when they first formed the band up until their collapse.
Yeah, and this is actually produced by the band themselves.
Yeah, and they had creative consultants on the movie as well, similar to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's some backstory. Now this movie was directed by Jeff Tremaine, who, if you may remember, he actually directed all the Jackass movies.
Yeah, he's known for like the Jackass and kind of like real lifey stuff like that.
Yeah,
and he has had some small directing. Directing other outside of Jackass is what I'm talking about. But this was actually kind of cool. I didn't even notice until last night that he took on this project.
Yeah.
But I will say that what I really like about him, he has something that a lot of artists don't have. I mean, a lot of directors, they don't have in any of their movies hardly. I like how detailed he pays attention to detail when he talks about drugs and sex and alcohol and all that stuff. If you ever notice him doing any type of short or project, you will see that he, like, when he shows it, he wants it to look real.
Yeah.
And a lot of directors would have took on CGI, or they would have went off with you had to imagine what it looked like when they shot themselves up.
Yeah.
But this one shows some fucking detail.
Yeah, definitely. And growing up, I wasn't like I don't consider myself like the biggest Motley Crue fan, but I still enjoy a lot of their music.
Yeah,
and
I love their music.
I enjoy a lot of glamour rock bands from the 80s, especially.
I'm not a diehard Motley Crue fan, but I still love their music.
Yeah.
And my dad, growing up, my dad's the Motley Crue, AC/DC. He lived that era. I'm from the 80s myself, but he was a teenager. He was the right age in the 80s, in his early 20s, so he was able to experience the fun. And I got into a lot of his music, and I've always listened to him, but what really, I can't stop thinking about Motley Crue. Whenever I think about Motley Crue, I think about Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, because especially like in
Motley Lou
with Rob Corddry's character in that movie, like he's so fascinated with that band. And what threw me off was because from the trailers, like I don't know if this was me, but I swear for a moment I thought that I was seeing him like actually playing one of the band members because one of them kind of looked like him. I was like, oh, is he actually playing this movie?
And if you guys don't know who was part of this band, which a lot of people don't realize, you had the drummer who was Tommy Lee,
who was originally married to Pamela Anderson,
and who, they're dark singers.
Yeah.
Then you have the head singer Vince Neil,
and then you got Nikki Sixx, who's the bassist,
and then Mick Mars. Yeah, these are famous people who got their own things going on, especially Tommy Lee. Yeah, he does a lot of his own things. But,
and so. Upon seeing the trailers to the film, it got me interested because it seems like we're in this trend now where we're starting to notice that a lot of movies based on musicians are coming back more often, especially since last year, since we had Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's like they're pretty much done with the autobiography of raps. And rapping, so they're going back to rock. Yeah, kind of. Like there's a lot of people that still ain't even covered yet. Yeah, I'm waiting on an Ozzy one, which we'll get to that in a second in this review. But I'm hoping they can do an Ozzy one next because God, he's a Prince of Darkness. Yeah, you can't go without doing it.
Yeah, and then we have later on.
I was really interested in this trailers. The only thing that was kind of depressing was it was a shame it got Netflix.
Yeah, because you look at it and it seemed like it was a movie that could have been made for theaters. But at the same time, there are. Yeah, I can see why they went to Netflix. At the latest.
I mean, you can tell like while there is a budget, there really isn't a budget.
Yeah.
So at the same time, so it's like a 50-50. But I will say, upon seeing this film, I actually really enjoyed this. There is some flaws, but this was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's not as great as like some of those other biographies that we've seen based on musicians, like Walk the Line and stuff like that. But it's still enjoyable. And to get my pros out of the way, the cast, I thought, while they're not really that known, they really brought their level to this, and they really worked like outstanding as these guys.
Yeah, a lot of people like. I will get into a con on one cast guy later on. I will talk about that con, but as far as my pros on the casting, I thought they all did really good. They weren't like, Oscar winning, but they actually did pretty good. I will say the one that shines the most is Machine Gun Kelly playing Tommy Lee.
Yeah,
you talk about an actor who played in Bird Box and Captive State, and he always plays a guy. He's a rapper, by the way. Sure everybody knows this, but he's always playing like a guy in the very background. But this was his first co-star and main movie, yeah. And I thought he did Tommy Lee good.
Yeah, he really captured a lot of what he was and everything, and so the rest of the guys, especially the guy that played Nikki Sixx, like, because the movie is really focused. It's focusing on all the bands themselves, but it's mainly like the main guy who's like the main front runner that they're taking key on is Nikki Sixx. Like they're really trying to take kind of him as the front man.
Yeah, because you kind of follow him when he's a kid.
Yeah,
and everybody else you just get a quick backstory and that's it.
Yeah, and basically what I appreciate this film the most is, unlike some other rock and roll musical biographical films that we get that really showcase a lot more of the musical side, this one the director decided to go for the more outrageous stuff that the band was known for.
Well, while they are well known for their great music, Motley Crue, not the first to do it, but is considered the face when it comes to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah. So I can see, and there's a book about it, and that's what this is based off of, about how Motley Crue was probably one of the most gruesomest, dirtiest bands ever.
Yeah, because
they said the shit that they did. Yeah. Sometimes some of it put Ozzy to shame.
That's what I'm saying. Like they go through so much like crazy shit in this. I can see why this felt like a Jackass movie, because you have scenes where you have them like driving through cars and stuff, or I'm sorry.
And Jeff Tremaine was a perfect director for this.
And you got them like running around naked in hotel rooms and stuff. And this movie has like such raunchy shit that I couldn't fucking. The humor was great about it.
The humor was really good. The raunchiness was actually shocker. The raunchiness was more than I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I will say it's good. It was good raunchy. This is taking. You can't do I can see why they probably did the video, because you can't do anything tame for Motley Crue. Yeah. You really can't. You have to show, we're talking about in this movie, they show this girl getting her pussy ate, and it shows a squirt. I've never seen I've never seen that happen on an actual movie. I've seen it,
in porn.
In real life too, but I'm just saying, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
I've never seen them actually go that far in movies. And it shows them like fucking girls in the ass. This shit was just a straight up porno.
Yeah,
I was like, holy fucking, they're like all getting in the fucking shit, watching the dick go in the pussy.
And they're doing drugs at the same time, and that's another factor I gotta give. Like, this movie felt me, like, when it gets to a lot later in the film, because you know how you see in those typical biography movies where you see the rise of fame that happens,
and then the drugs.
Yes.
They start off good, but then the drugs get too.
It starts to slowly become like a like a fucking like you're watching Sid and Nancy later on or something.
I will say this movie has some of the most intense drug using scenes I've ever seen in a movie, because the reason why, Jeff Tremaine, he actually shows up close to the needle going in the fucking arm. This shit looked real. I literally thought he actually went to a heroin place where they do heroin and stuff, and asked, "Hey, can I use like you doing heroin?" And and if it's true, let's just say that with Jeff Tremaine, I can actually maybe say that could happen. Yeah, because I know how he is. He worked for Jackass. He's the type of motherfucker that will go to like a neighborhood that has heroin problems and say, "Hey man, can I get your arm so I can put this in the movie?" Yeah.
Like it really felt so gritty and so realistic, to the point that I was like, I was unnerved when I watched it. I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah. So now I'll get into my flaws about the structure of the plot and all that stuff. But for what it's worth, when it gets into like the band part, where I love the music, the soundtrack, awesome. Oh my god, it brings back memories. Yeah. I just want to get up and fucking rock and fucking just man, just do what they do.
Exactly.
Just for a night, you know. But I was really into the music, but I will say that the structure of the plot, while I do have problems, I'll get into flaws in a second. I thought, you know, I was really into the story of how they were falling apart.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, we'll get into our cons later about, like you were saying, with the narrative. Yeah. But I also got to give credit to some of the stuff that they actually put in there as well. Like, they were able to bring in the, like, guys that played the parts of real-life musicians that they saw in real life, like David Lee Roth and Ozzy.
Did you watch the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the end of it where they did the credits where they were doing with the cast, but then they were doing the real people, the real guys.
Where it shows the real footage,
Yeah, I did like that, but yeah, there was other characters of real life musicians that were in this film, but they were played by other people.
Yeah.
And I will say, this dude better get hired for the Ozzy biopic they ever do one, please.
Yeah, because
this dude looked like Ozzy back in the fucking 70s.
It's Black Sabbath days.
Yeah, it's Black Sabbath days. The part where he's blonde. Yeah. He had the dirty blonde hair and the eyes.
And he starts black. Doing more, like around yourself, where he starts licking piss.
Well, that's what Ozzy was known for.
But yeah, like,
I mean, he snorted fucking ants. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
And then they started licking each other. It's like, him and Motley Crue were battling out who was the most rockiest. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm the badass motherfucker. I'm gnarly, you know, so. But there was other characters that were portrayed in this, other musicians that were portrayed very well that were cameos. I will say that there's a scene that's fucking gruesome. Yeah. That fucking, if you guys know the history, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we won't
spoil it, but...
Well, it's not really a spoiler if you already know, because, I mean, that shit made the world news whenever that happened. Yeah. Everybody, I think, knows it. It's like as popular as Diana dying. Princess Diana dying. So I'm sure everybody knows. I'm just saying for the ones who've never heard of Motley Crue, I'll save it for you guys. But that, and there's emotional thing at the
there's something that happens toward the end that I was on the verge of fucking tears. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, it was a dagger. I forgot about that because I remember that happening.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, now on to my cons. All right. Well, let's get into the structure of this film. The first problem I noticed with this film that kind of bothered me a little bit. All right, it starts off doing, you know, your opening monologue where you have, we're following Nikki Sixx as a kid.
Yeah.
I like that, but it almost becomes pointless because it's so rushed.
Yeah.
To the point. And here's another thing I have an issue with. I had an issue with them becoming Motley Crue so quick.
Yeah, that was a big problem for me because I had the same problem I had with Bohemian Rhapsody as well when they just start out that fast. But this one, they had really.
I think this one went a lot.
It went a lot quicker than it should have been because we're jumped right in already.
I mean, with Bohemian, you can actually, while they do jump, which was an issue, there was other things that you show them build on to come with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Here, they're like, already, let's go together.
Yeah,
they knew each other for years. Hey, let's call ourselves Motley Crue. The first person knew the name.
Well, they only come up with like one or two other names. And
they did that just for shock and all.
They're just like, all right, we'll try this, and it's like, no, let's just go by this then.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, oh my god, that's the name.
The way that there are things that they go by feels very like glossed over. Yeah, they don't spend a whole lot of time with, especially with certain events that happen. Like for example. They get introduced to this kind of like drummer that's from London or whatever that they spend time with. They hardly even elaborate on that either.
Yeah, and that plays a big role later on in the story.
That's what I'm saying.
And stuff. But another thing that I have an issue with was why I said I love the cast. Everybody was like doable, great. I had a lot of problems with Pete Davidson's character in this. He plays the guy who finds them.
Oh yeah, the manager,
the short shoulder-length hair young guy. His name's Pete Davidson. He's from Saturday Night Live. He's the one that's dating all the girls. And he's from New York and all that shit. And he's mainly known for Saturday Night Live. I felt like he can't act worth shit. And it felt like he was grinning, like he was looking at the camera, like he was fucking up a little bit.
Yeah.
However, I will say he did crack me up one time. There's a part where he talks about, and this is one of those structure films we've got to talk about, where every now and then the character will look at the camera and dress you.
Yeah,
dress the viewer. I like that.
Yeah, that structure, direction they do was also done in Jersey Boys from Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood did the same thing where all four of the main quartets, they did that where they point directly at the camera and say the story.
Here's the part I really enjoyed, I thought, and this is the only part I liked at Pete Davidson, because I really personally, he couldn't act for shit. He was horrible in it.
Yeah, he felt really out of place.
He really out of place, yes. So anyways, he looked at the camera, and it's about, he was telling a story. He goes, everything freezes in the background when they talk, and he starts talking. He's like, yeah, he goes, I've come to find out, because you remember Nikki Sixx was fucking his girlfriend, his fiance, and then so was the band. And he goes, I found out after 15 years, my old lady was fucking the whole band. Yeah. And he goes, this is what he said. He goes, now I learned one lesson. He goes, you bringing your girl around Motley Crue, they're getting fucked.
That shit was funny.
I was cracking the fuck up. I will say that's the only thing. Other than that, he couldn't act worth shit. He kept smiling and grinning in depressing parts.
Mugging the camera.
I don't know if it's his facial structure it makes him do that, or if he's attention, because he's known for comedy, pure comedy, and throwing jokes. So I don't know if he's trying to, he's kind of grinning because you know how some people just laugh at every fucking thing. Yeah, and it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. So I had a problem with him.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, he really did feel like one of those guys that just came off the set of fucking Saturday Night Live onto there, and it felt really out of place.
Yes, and he looked too young to be the guy.
And the other thing, too, was that I felt like this kind of goes more into the factor with the way that the movies, like you were saying, the way the narrative goes by. Yeah. Other than the stuff that they leave out, that's that's really important from the real life events. Mm-hmm. It felt like the movie could have went on a more longer to really elaborate on stuff, because this movie was only about 1 hour and 40 minutes long. So the pacing does work, but I felt like there was stuff that they spent time with that was either really not filled in.
There's some things that happen throughout this film. And there's some key parts, and if you guys followed Vince Neil's life, you'll know that there was some bad shit he did, and then there was in the band itself, and there's some key shit that happened, and some of the key stuff that's really fucked up that you would think that they would really settle in, like the car wreck thing, and then the ending part, sadly, what happens with the little girl, two big key things that they literally, while really good and done right, were forgotten the next scene. Yeah. That was my problem. Like I said, the ending, that's another issue I have. We build up and the sad thing happens towards the end. You're like, oh my God. And then you see kind of like how the band's pretty much been done for a while. And then there's that new singer eventually comes in the 90s. Yeah,
that's another thing I was going to point out too, is that they bring in this new singer. All we get is a mention of him. We don't even get him introduced or anything.
That was another thing that kind of should elaborate more, because while the guy wasn't no Vince Neil, he didn't last either very long. But they did have like a hit or two, I think, with the guy, and it was very short-lived. But I mean, I don't know why they couldn't elaborate or anything with him. I don't know the whole ordeal. Now, I don't know everything Motley Crue, so I will say that I did hear that they're, like all biographies, there's some key things that are completely left out of this, and they're trying to focus, but
overall, given for what it is, this is a film that it seems like it does glamorize this more, instead of trying to show the struggles of the band itself, because and I can see the direction they went with, because that's how the book is.
Yeah, so, the book is about them admitting to all the hardcore shit.
Yeah, so the movie does serve its purpose in that regard with the source material, and it does. It is very entertaining as well.
I will say that if the one thing I take out of it was probably I thought it was a blast, but like on a rewatchability part, I would rewatch this.
I would too, yeah. And so with that being said, with all the enjoyment that I did have with the film overall, I'm going to give this movie a compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit above him. I'm going to go a high compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Fair enough. And for those of you who have also seen The Dirt. Let us know in the comments below of what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. And check out some of our other reviews here and our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.